guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you step by step on how to renovate your rental kitchen in a low budget. In this video, you're going to learn how to look for the inspiration ideas, how to choose your removable material, how to measure the amount that you need for your material, and the tools that you need, as well as the step-by-step installing guide, and some common mistakes and the tips and tricks on installing, as well as the step-by-step review at the end of the video. So if you live in a rental property and you do not like the design of your kitchen, you're in the right place. Check it out. Hi new friend, this is Erica right here. I'm a Taiwanese citizen currently living in America. Cooking and traveling are my passion, so I'm here to share a few of my favorite Asian recipes. I make kitchen trivia shorts and Asian home cooking recipe on this channel, so if that interests you, please subscribe and keep watching. We mentioned it last week because there's a lot to cover in this video, so I'm gonna cut it into two different parts. You're on episode 2 right now. And here's a timestamp for both of the videos. In our last week's video, we have talked about how to look for inspiration on renovating your rental kitchen, as well as how to look for the best removable materials and how to measure the amount of material that you need for the makeover. In today's video, we'll be talking about the tools you need, the prep work before installing, the actual installing tips and tricks, as well as some step-by-step guides, and we'll end with the total step review as well. So if you haven't seen the part 1 video before, here's a link to the video. You gotta check it out before you watch this one. But without further ado, let's get straight into today's content, shall we? In order to make the process of the installation smooth, you will need some tools to help. Here's a tool set that I got on Amazon, which is super useful. I use every single piece of the tool in this set during my makeover. It comes with 2 plastic squishies and a knife with 5 extra blades. The big red squishy can smooth out creases that is really useful for a large surface. While the blue one that have felts on them, I'll say I use the little blue ones 80% of the time to smooth out the corner, edges, small surface, and visible bubbles. And you can also put a little bit more pressure into it to smooth out the surface without worrying about stretching the wallpaper. And I use the big red one probably 20% of the time for the big surface for a quicker installation. So I'll say that if you have a cake scraper, you might be able to use that to replace the red one right here. But the blue squeegee with the felt is really easier to smooth out any surface. So if the cake scraper is not working for you, you should order one of these with the felt, but big or small, whatever you prefer. A knife during the process is 100% necessary, but it doesn't have to be this type. You can use a utility knife, no problem. But the one that comes with the set is way tinier and very sharp, so it's easier to get into small spaces that you couldn't reach with the utility knife. And the blades are extremely sharp, so you can avoid rips. And besides that, you'll also need a Sharpie, or you have a removable pen that will be even better. We're gonna use the Sharpie or the pen that you have to measure out the amount of cardboard we need. And also, if you're using cardboard in your project, you will need a very long ruler. Because to cut the wallpaper, you can fold them into half and then scrape it from the side for a straight line. For the cardboard, it is too thick to fold, so you will definitely need a ruler to cut out a straight line. Last thing is to prepare a big trash bag for the scraps. Believe me, there will be a lot of them. Now, when we talk about the prep work before installing, the most important thing is to clean up all the surface that you're gonna stick things on. The kitchen is normally the most greasy part of the house, so for the tiles and wallpaper to stick properly, you'll have to clean up all the greasiness and the moist as well as dust on the surface. You can use soap and water to clean your cabinets and counter if that works, or like me, you can use a more heavy-duty cleaner such as the TSP all-purpose heavy-duty cleaner. I got my TSP cleaner in Home Depot. It is safe to use on wood cabinet and also does not require rinsing after. I like it a lot because it works really well. Also, it does not have strong odor at all. After wiping down all of the surface, I also use my Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to get rid of the spot that I didn't get rid of with the TSP cleaner. I kind of use this as like a quick touch-up option. But whatever you use, just make sure you clean up all the surface and dry it off at least 24 hours before you're installing your wallpaper or tiles. So you can make sure all of the surface is clean and dry before installing for the best result. The backsplash and the countertop is very easy to reach while cleaning, but for the cabinet, you'll have to unscrew all of them in order to clean them properly. I know it is a pain to unscrew all the cabinets, but this is also necessary for installing the wallpaper later, so might as well do it now. Last step before installing, try out all the sticky material that you bought online to make sure these things are actually removable before you install the whole property. And if that turns out all good, we can move on to the next step. Finally, we get into the most important and the most exciting part of the whole progress is the installation. Since there's only two main material we gotta stick, we're gonna start with the tile, which is easier, and then go to the wallpaper. To install these tile stickers, make sure you read the instruction before you start. The tile I bought said it's sensitive to temperature, so in order to achieve the best results, I stopped using the stove for over 24 hours before installation. Putting up these tiles is not the hardest thing ever, but in order to make them line up perfectly, it does take a little effort. If you're sticking the whole sheets of tiles on, peel off the quarter of the paper first and fold it up. Aim the whole sheet well on the wall, then press and stick that quarter of the sheet firmly. As long as you line them up well, you just need to slowly peel the paper a little bit at a time in the pace that you're comfortable with. And at the same time, smooth it out with a squishy. If you're working in an area that requires to cut the tiles, I like to measure them and cut them a little bit at a time and make sure it fits perfectly before installing at all. I would never peel off the paper before I cut them into a perfect size because trust me, it's gonna be a pain in the ass if you peel it off first and try to cut it. It's gonna be sticking on everything. The biggest mistake I make with the tile is I start from the wrong side. These tiles always have a connecting part that have a sticker but not tiles on. So you want to make sure this connecting part is facing the direction that you're working towards. So the second tile can be sticking on those surface and cover it up. If you did it the other way around like me, big mistake because it is a pain for the rest of the way. I know this is such a stupid mistake, but I bet I'm not the only one. I got a little bit too excited to start, so I didn't think it through. And this is why you should probably watch the entire video to avoid mistakes like this. Another thing is that the tiles are 3D, so it is thicker than the wallpaper. So it is sometimes a little bit easier if you cut up the tile one by one, the tiny little piece of the tile, and then connecting into the small area rather than working on a whole sheet in a tiny space. Another thing is that I realized since the tile is really thick, you gotta make sure you lay them flat while you're cutting them. Because in this little corner when I was trying to cut them while they already stick on the wall, after you cut them, it's not gonna line up perfectly. It is not really that bad that anybody can see, but I know it's there and it bothers me a little. But overall, the whole backsplash installation takes me around 3 hours to work on, and besides that little mistake, I think it looks perfect to me. Now when it comes to the wallpaper, installing them on the countertop and backsplash will be pretty easy. But if you also decide to make over your cabinets, this will be the hardest part of the whole project. If you're using wallpaper for more than your cabinets, I would recommend you to start with a flat surface like the countertop or the backsplash. Practicing on the flatter surface can let you get a hang of it, and later when you're installing the cabinets, you can be more comfortable to work with both wallpaper and the cardboard at the same time. Installing wallpaper is very simple. Same as a tile, to peel off only a little bit of the paper at first. Make sure it's perfectly lined up with the space and stick it firmly with the squishy. And then peel off the paper a little bit at a time to smooth out the surface. If you're going through a corner or turn, make sure the corner is all filled up. Use the squishy to really get them in there. Because if there's any air between the walls, one day if you put a little pressure onto it, it will rip right away. So if you're using one sheet for a corner or a turn, make sure you fill up all these areas before you work towards the other side of the wall. The hardest part I'll say on this whole project is installing the wallpaper on the cabinet door as well as the drawers. So here's a little step-by-step guide for you. First, let's start with the cabinet's doors. To make the process easier, I like to measure out the exact size that I'll need for the wallpaper and cut them out first. Same as the cardboard. If your cardboard is curled up like this, I'll do whatever it takes to flatten them out without folding them. Because the wallpaper is super thin, if there's any crack or fold or even wrinkle on your cardboard, it will 100% show through. You can press it down with a heavy object overnight or heat it up with the iron perhaps. I use my teapot with very hot tea in it to play as an iron, and it works pretty well. Now when your materials are ready, we'll start with the inside of the cabinet doors. Same thing I'll do is peel off a little bit of the paper and fold it inside the cabinet. Aim good and stick one side firmly on the inner cabinet and slowly smoothen outwards. Make sure there's no any air caught in the round edges. And then after you flip them around, you can aim your cardboard in the center of the door. Press it down to make it flat. And when it comes to the edge of the wallpaper, make sure you use your squishy to create that sharp edge so we can see the pattern more clearly. And when it comes to the directions, always smooth from the center of the door to the side, so you don't create any air bubble or folds. When you're almost done with the outer surface, you will come across another edge, make sure to smoothen out, and then turn the door around. And now just patch up the rest of the paper. Now you only got two sides left. To patch up the corner, it really just comes to your technique and practice over time. If you fail once, don't worry, just give it another try or patch it up with a little extra paper. Since it's a corner, you can't really see it. If you don't mind, nobody cares. The rest you'll need to do is cut out the excess like the holes for the hinges and the embedded handle area. For the drawer, because my drawer is not detachable, so it's a little bit different than the cabinet door. We'll start with the same thing, cut out the exact size you'll need, and then you can either start from the inside or the outside. I prefer to start from the inside because I can slowly peel off the paper little by little, but if you prefer to peel them all off and start from the center, you can also do that. As long as all the surfaces are covered and smoothed out, you're good. Last thing for the cabinets is the gap between the doors. This is the perfect spot to use the leftover side pieces to patch up because after you put the doors on, these spaces are not very visible. So this is the part that you can use multiple pieces to cover because it's going to be mostly covered up anyways. Now after the step-by-step guide, here's a little tips and trick on working with the wallpaper. First is that the wallpaper that's closer to the core normally come with some air bubble and wrinkles. That was because it was rolled up so many times that causes the wallpaper sticker longer than the discarded paper. And if you see the sticker pop up like this, do not try to smoothen out with the squishy directly, because this will be what happened. Huge folds that are never gonna flatten out again. So if you're working on these type of wallpaper on your cabinet door, for example, this is what you do. Cut out the amount of wallpaper you need without putting pressure on the bubble area. Face the sticker size up, peel up the sticker all the way to the air bubble spot, and then use your squishy to smooth out the air bubble outwards and stick them back on the discarded paper. And now your wallpaper is perfectly flat. The second tip is that if you see any air bubble after you install the paper, don't try to use the squishy to force that bubble out, especially if the air bubble is in the center of the cabinet, because it will never work. What you should do is use your knife to poke a tiny hole into the bubble. Then squeeze out the air through that hole with a squishy and perfect. Super flat. And my third tip for you is about the cardboard. Using the floor protection material to cover up the engraving works perfectly well, but the downside about this material is that since it's a floor protection, the quality of the paper might not be 100% perfect. These four might come with a little dents and folds on them. With the thin wallpaper that you're covering on top, even a little bit of wrinkle can really show through easily. So since it's come with a huge roll, just pull it all out and make sure you cut up the perfect part without any dents or wrinkles or folds or water damage or whatever it is. And before installing, make sure to line them up with your cabinet to make sure your line is perfectly straight. You don't want to stick them up and realize, oh, the cardboard is a little off, right? Now I think within these 2 long-ass episodes, we have covered everything that you need to know about rental kitchen makeover. Let us review the step one by one together so we don't miss anything. Number 1, look for inspiration if you don't have any idea what you want to do. Number 2, check your color palette, style, and pattern that works with your design. Number 3, make sure the design will match your kitchen size, lighting, and other conditions. 4, look for the material online with the keyword we recommended in the last episode. Number 5, measure your kitchen space and calculate the amount of material you need, maybe on a piece of paper or digitally. Number 6, order the tile and wallpaper, doorknobs, as well as tools and cleaning product that you need. Number 7, take off all your cabinets, clean all surface with TSP or soap or whatever you want. Number 8, when the materials arrives, check the quality of the product first. And if it's all good, test stick them to see if it's actually removable and if it's actually heat proof with the hottest thing that you will put on them after. Number 9 is the installation. Starting from the easiest part to the hardest to practice over time in the order of countertop, backsplash, cabinets, and doors. Number 10, the last step, attach the door hinge back and install the doors back on the cabinets. And done! Congratulations on your newly renovated kitchen. All I hope is you enjoy the process as much as I do. This might seem as a big project for a lot of people, but to me, it's almost like an art project that I really had fun doing it. So I hope you enjoy it as well. Leave a comment down below if you have any related questions, and I'll try to reply you as fast as I can. And thanks for watching to the end. Let me know if this information is useful for you by giving this video a thumbs up. It's only gonna take you a second, but it means a lot to me. I make video on YouTube every Monday and Thursday, so remember to hit that bell and you'll never miss out. Here is a link to the episode 1 of this series, and below is the playlist of the Explain series on this channel. Last but not least, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!